biblical realities.
In the year 73, the Roman Empire reached the summit of its last conquest in Judea. They breached the walls, swords drawn, pulses racing for the glory of the kill. But when General Flavius Silva stepped into the courtyard, the triumph he'd spent years building vanished in an instant. He didn't find a broken enemy. He found a silence so heavy it felt like a physical blow. This is not a story about military surrender. It is about how a band of extremists, trapped on a rock in the middle of nowhere, managed to humiliate the most powerful war machine on earth without drawing a sword. How did the losers win history? The refuge was Masada, a fortress built by King Herod as a doomsday bunker. Perched 400 meters above the Dead Sea, it was thought to be unconquerable. But by 73, it was held by the Sicari, the dagger men, religious zealots who refused any master but God. Masada wasn't just a rock. It was a self-sustaining ecosystem. Herod's engineers had carved 12 giant cisterns into the cliff, capable of holding 16 Olympic swimming pools worth of water, all fed by ingenious channels that caught the rare desert flash floods. They had food for a decade. They were ready, but the Roman Empire thrived on breaking the unbreakable. General Flavius Silva arrived with the 10th Legion, the same men who had just leveled Jerusalem. They brought 8,000 soldiers and thousands of slaves. They didn't just attack, they siege-farmed the mountain. Silva built a 2-mile-long stone wall encircling the entire base. 8 fortified camps. No one was leaving alive. According to historical records, the message was clear. Masada wasn't a battle, it was an execution by logistics. But the cliff was too high for ladders. So Silva did the unthinkable. He built a mountain to conquer a mountain. Thousands of tons of earth and stone were piled into a massive ramp, a permanent white scar that still exists today. It was a highway for a skyscraper-sized siege tower. As the iron ram struck the stone walls, Eleazar improvised. He knew stone would shatter, so he built a secondary wall of wood and dirt. When the Roman ram hit this soft wall, the earth absorbed the blow. Every hit only compacted the dirt, making the wall stronger. Silva was baffled. Silva pivoted. If the wall wouldn't break, it would burn. He ordered his men to throw torches. For hours, the battle was a chaotic dance in the sky. At first, the wind blew the flames back toward the Roman machines, threatening to destroy years of work in minutes. Then, in a moment of cinematic fate, the wind shifted. It turned north to south, driving the fire directly into the heart of the Jewish defense. The soft wall was reduced to ash. The mountain was open. The siege was over. Silva retired for the night, confident and cold. He would wait for dawn to begin the slaughter, the part he enjoyed. He expected screams, begging, and a trail of captives to march through Rome in chains. He couldn't have been more wrong. Inside the walls, Eleazar gathered his people. He argued that the Romans didn't just want their lives, they wanted their dignity. They wanted the spectacle of their defeat. According to the historian Josephus, Eleazar made a final haunting point. Let us leave the world as free men before the enemy has the joy of seeing us weep. He gave one specific, strategic order. Burn everything except the food. He wanted Silva to walk in and see the granaries overflowing. He wanted the Romans to know they didn't die of famine or desperation. They died because they chose to. It was a hostile takeover where the CEO burns the assets. The end was systematic. Families said their final goodbyes. 10 men were chosen by lot to be the executioners of the rest, then one to end the lives of the final 9 and himself. It was a tragedy of absolute resolve, leaving nothing but an empty shell for the empire to occupy. When the sun rose, the Romans charged. They expected a desperate fight, but as they swept through the breach, they found a ghastly solitude. No screams, no movement, just the smell of smoke and 960 bodies. Silva had won the rock, but he had lost his victory parade. For centuries, this was just a story told by Josephus. But in the 1960s, archaeologists found the physical proof of the lottery. They discovered 11 small pottery shards, known as ostraca, each with a name written in the same hand. The lottery of death was real. One shard stands out. It bears the name Ben Yair, Eleazar himself. It is the signature of a man who presided over the final end of a rebellion, ensuring that his enemy would inherit nothing but a pile of stones and a legend. Today, Masada has undergone a transformation from a site of extremist suicide to a symbol of ironclad national survival. For generations of Israeli soldiers, it's where they swear an oath of Masada shall not fall again. It is a monument to the power of the narrative. Tactically, Rome won the mountain, but psychologically, Eleazar won the war. He denied Silva the one thing an empire needs more than territory: the confirmation of their superiority through the submission of the conquered. Rome is now a collection of museum pieces and tourist ruins. But the story of what happened on this rock survives as a reminder that an empire can break your walls, but they cannot break a spirit that refuses to belong to them. The silence of Masada is the loudest victory ever recorded.